Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Celtic have been drawn against Barcelona, Manchester City and Borussia Mönchengladbach in the group stages of the Champions League. And at the ceremony this afternoon, Cristiano Ronaldo was voted Europe's best player and Ada Hegerberg was voted the best player in the female category. Also tonight on the programme, we'll hear from Mark Warburton and look ahead to Kilmarnock against Rangers tomorrow night. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, and I'm delighted to say our boot-room guest is Hugh MacDonald of the Herald to give us his reaction and his take on the Champions League draw. So, first and foremost, let's have a look at the draw in its entirety for Celtic. It was the last team drawn out at the ceremony, Ian Rush and Roberto Carlos, eventually holding the slip of paper which said Celtic in pot 4, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Manchester City and of course Barcelona. I did mention, Hugh, that maybe Celtic fans were hoping for a Real Madrid, but at the end of the day it's mouth-watering.
Yeah, it's a great draw. It's a fantastic draw. I mean, there'll be people saying, well, I think it's 5 times now they've Celtic with Barcelona in the Champions League group stages, but when you're in the 4th rung of the pot, it's going to be tough, and I think that's the toughest group, but great glamour ties.
Yeah, absolutely. You maybe thought, Ruffy, that Brendan Rodgers had just gone a little bit too early and too optimistic with the back page headlines this morning about trying to make the last 16.
Yeah, I think he was trying to be positive, but I think tonight's all about the fans. You know, tonight is all about the glamour games that they're going to see. Not a lot of terrific amount of travelling involved as well, and the place will be bouncing for every one of these games. And for Messi, Neymar and Suarez, that just says it all for me. You know, it's what you're in football for, and you want to see these players up close.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wonder whether Celtic will make a late bid for Tony Watt now, Hugh, just to try and get him in for the arrival of Barcelona.
Yeah, and hopefully that Borussia Mönchengladbach makes a great bid, last-minute bid for Bertie Vogts. Though I suppose even with Bertie, he's his age now, he might do all right at that level. But yeah, and to be realistic about this, I mean, people will start, you know, I think Brendan's got to see he's in it to get out the group. I mean, because if he said the opposite, we'd all be slaughtering them, you know. But you just can't see anything other than finishing 4th in this group.
Well, that's what I was just about to say to you. You know, listen, expectations and reality are 2 different things when it comes to some Celtic fans. The realistic among the Celtic support will look at it and say, listen, huge success would be 3rd in Europa League, Ruffy.
Yeah, Europa League is what it's all about now. You want to be in Europe as long as possible, well into the new year, and I'm sure that's what their aim will be. But Celtic have risen to the occasion in numerous times against big sides. I don't think the quality's there in the Celtic team just now as before, but it's amazing these nights what you can do. It's a fantastic atmosphere.
Well, there's no doubt, Hugh, that I think a number of Celtic fans were biting their nails obviously at the game that they managed to get past halfway of Beersheva, but I think they'll be now looking and saying, okay, there's already a figure which is 30 million, but it could far exceed that when you consider the calibre and the spin-offs that can come from these games. So they'll be looking to the Celtic board now and saying, okay, dig deep. Should they be digging deep to get maybe 2 or 3 that could try and make this respectable? Because, quite simply, these clubs, especially Manchester City and Barcelona, have got a huge spend which just dwarfs anything Celtic can do. I'm thinking more about a damage limitation here on this.
Exactly, but if Celtic, even if Celtic was said, got 35 million or 40 million, or let's even say 50 million from this Champions League thing, that's one Barcelona player.
Yeah.
That's one Manchester City player. That's the market they're in. You know, you could throw all that away on one player. I think for Celtic, yeah, they'll definitely go in over the weekend for 2 or 3 targets. I think certainly 2. But realistically, what you're talking about maybe top class player. I mean, for example, they're talking about James McCarthy, but you're talking about a player there whose salary, you know, be high for Celtic, but probably could only come in loan. I mean, there's no way Celtic are going to pay 10, 15 million pounds for a player. I mean, we'll have to be realistic in Scotland about this. I mean, and everybody's got to start looking at Borussia Mönchengladbach and say, well, maybe we've got a chance against them. Well, they won 9-2 in their qualifying match against the Swiss team. Finished fourth in a very, very strong league. I don't think you can overstate how tough it is for Celtic. I really don't.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the entire draw, I have to say, Ruffy, at times I thought we were waiting on Norway coming out and singing the Eurovision Song Contest entry. They fair drag it out, but nevertheless there were a few other tasty ones in the groups. I mean, it's incredible that Leicester are in pot one. They managed to get Porto, Bruges, Copenhagen as well, which I think, you know, for Claudio Ranieri's in dreamland.
Yeah, as far as we've already discussed, Celtic having the hardest by a mile. You know, I think every English club's got a chance of qualifying. I think they've been given easy groups that they could quite possibly get. I thought at one stage Celtic were going to get Group G, and then you'd have been saying the exact opposite. You know, you've had a chance of maybe being second in that one, and even in Group H, you know, but obviously the groups are what they are, and you just have to go on with it.
Yeah, I'm just picking up on that point. I mean, is there a group there that you would have thought Celtic would have thought to themselves, oh, there's a chance of getting out of it, you know?
There'll be groups where maybe people would have thought. There's not a group there that I would have thought. No. I think, I mean, if you take the two seeded teams in every group, you can't see, you know, you just can't see Celtic having the firepower to get through them. I mean, people say the Group G, which is, to remind the viewers, which is Leicester, Porto, Bruges and Copenhagen. Well, Celtic would have come in for Bruges, so it would have been Leicester, Porto, Celtic and Copenhagen. Could you see them finishing first, second? That's probably the only group you could see, but you would have to be awfully optimistic, I think. I mean, even looking back to the last Barcelona, you know, the great triumph, the Tony Watt triumph, if you look at that team and the Celtic team now, there's been an erosion. You know, Wanyama, who scores the goal, is playing at Tottenham Hotspur. He's a £20 million player. Others guys, you know, Ledley's as an EPL player, etc. I mean, that team, you know, the goalkeeper, I think is now favourite to be the English goalkeeper, national goalkeeper. So there's not that quality there at the moment, and that's nobody's fault. It's just an erosion of Scottish football.
Yeah, and and this is a tough question, and I apologise for asking it, guys. But on the basis that you mentioned there, you know, of the 4 or 5 times that Barcelona have come calling, is this the best Barcelona side that's coming to Celtic Park, or are we going back towards the Ronaldinho, you know, the Messi, Xavi, Iniesta?
It's a real tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's the best front three. I think it's the best front three I've seen, full stop. I mean, Suarez is probably the least of the three, and he is a real worldie. Yeah. And he's number 3. I mean, I was watching him at the weekend, you know, doing things with free kicks and that, and you say, well, in any other team, he would be the talisman as he was at Liverpool. And so I think it's the best front 3, but I think in midfield, I mean, they've still got a great midfield, but Xavi and Iniesta were special, Peter.
The pleasing thing is there always are. You always can get at them at the back if you can get the ball off them.
Right.
That's a very good point, and probably the only saving grace from this discussion, Ruffy, that you've highlighted there. Just before we head to the break on this Champions League draw, a lot will be made of Pep Guardiola going back to Barcelona again with the Man City side. Of course, all of them will be raving about the fact that they will have to come to Celtic Park. Lionel Messi's already on record as talking about how special and how he enjoys that. I think that's the one thing that you know, the Celtic fans have craved, and they have it again. Those special European nights. I
think that's what it's all about. And you don't want to be defeatist, and you don't be, in a realistic sense. I think Celtic's most important game of the season was on Tuesday night. As simple as that. This is all gravy, and it's very thick and rich and luscious gravy, and it's gravy that keeps, you know, it'll bring players to Celtic Park, and it's gravy that'll make a difference in it domestically. But it's hugely difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just so glad you summed it up there from your old days when you were getting called in for your dinner. This is gravy. This is the perfect way to sum it up. And just before we hit the break, Ruffy, Celtic already played a flat back 5 to get through to this. I think they might be embracing that again. They might have to look to strengthen. I see it defence, midfield, and a striker of note.
Well, as Hugh's touched on it, that'll be interesting. What Brendan Rodgers does now. You know, he said there are players on a piece of paper. I think that they want to see action and another couple of players coming in.
Okay, you can interact with us at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We'd love to hear from you. After the break, we are going to talk Rangers because they are playing Kilmarnock in the Premiership tomorrow night, and we'll hear from the Rangers boss, Mark Warburton, as well. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. Our boot room guest is Hugh MacDonald, reflecting on the news that Celtic have been drawn against Barcelona, Manchester City and Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Champions League group stage draw. It certainly is going to be very, very special indeed. Celtic fans will be clamouring for tickets, no doubt. And as ever, we like to give you a little insight into some of the things that go on in the break. And Ruffy, you have Celtic down to win 4 points in the group. Yeah. Where are those 4 points coming from, Ruffy? Just as
I would like to think they'd win a home game.
Yeah.
So sinking a red in a brown.
And maybe I was a bit ambitious, but it's just that I've seen them doing it before. I know Hugh's saying it isn't the same quality. I agree with that. But stranger things have happened in football.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Ruffy, if Celtic, and strange things do happen, but if Celtic get a win at home against any of them, I think that it will be party time among the Celtic support. They go there with tremendous belief and expectation, but as Martin O'Neill said on many an occasion, this is a team that has to punch well above its weight to try and achieve that. But the Celtic fans will be going to enjoy it anyway. At that ceremony, apart from anything, it was long and drawn out. and I have to say, the only thing missing, it needed Terry Wogan to really brighten it up a bit. But the player of the season in Europe was Cristiano Ronaldo, and Ada Hegerberg won the female player of the year in Europe.
Yeah, two pretty straightforward choices, I would have thought. I mean, no arguments with either. I think in particular, I mean, Ronaldo is for me the best player in the world. I know it's a great argument, isn't it? Yeah. But I always tilt slightly towards him. And I think he's shown it this year is that what he's added to it that Messi has never done is that he's made it in the international stage. He's pushed Portugal over the line in a major tournament. And of course, Messi, who's a fantastic player, of course, as well, hasn't done that with Argentina. And who knows, maybe that's why it was one of the things that made Messi reconsider his international retirement and said, well, maybe I have to come back and do this, you know, what Ronaldo's done. But Ronaldo, for me, a very worthy choice.
OK, let's move from Champions League to domestic issues as well. There's just a host of players, some possibly leaving Scottish football, some possibly coming in as well. We'll discuss that in this part of the programme. And of course, Kilmarnock against Rangers. Mark Warburton talking about this match. He's talking about one player in particular. We're going to hear from him now, and that's, of course, Philippe Senderos. It looks as if he's getting ever closer to possibly a deal for the Swiss central defender. This is what he had to say about it yesterday.
Just still looking, and he's looking at us and we're looking at him. That's how it works, as simple as that. So he's come in, done very well physically, very impressed, good character. His CV is very impressive, so there's no doubt about that, and hopefully we can come to a suitable conclusion very quickly.
Have you offered him any contract?
The conversation's going on, so hopefully when we can announce something we will do, but right now we're making progress and I don't think we're too far away.
How quickly would you like that to be resolved?
These things take time. It could be done this afternoon, it could be done in a couple of days. We'll wait and see how things go.
So just to clarify, it looks like it's going to be him. You've not got any other options?
No, there's other options we're looking at as well, and I'm sure he has other options as well. So it works both ways. So as a club, we have to tell him what we're about, sell what we have to offer and vice versa, and see where the conversations lead us to. But have no doubts that we have to look at more than one option, and likewise he has to have more than one choice to make.
Well, depending on one that he might pull out of left field, I still think Senderos would be a good acquisition for Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely a good acquisition. I mean, anybody that's doing an essaying is, you know, basing on it, you know, form here and there hasn't been great, but he's come to a league where he's got good pedigree behind him. I think he's not as old as people think. He's early 30s, 31, so he's had his injuries, but I think he's a very viable signing.
Yeah, and he wants competition. He wants competition in the front line, and he certainly, I think, many a Rangers fan who was talking to me after the Motherwell game as well, certainly they would like to see a bit more competition in the back line, Ruffy.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's obviously doing. He's actively doing that, and if he gets him, it looks as if he's ready enough to fit in right away, which is a plus. Sometimes you get foreign players coming in and they don't kick a ball for 4 or 5 weeks, but if he's ready and fit and he can slot in there, that's an added bonus. But it just seems to be nowadays it's all about deals. It's all about trying to offer them something to tempt them to come. And obviously, as the manager was saying there, it's a lot more complicated than tying it down.
Yeah, and with the game in mind tomorrow, Lee Clark, the Kilmarnock boss, has mentioned that he feels as if it's a gamble signing 15 players and hoping that they're all going to gel and keep them away from relegation. I have my doubts, Hugh.
I mean, and the level of his acquisitions over the summer, and the transfer window's not fixed yet. It's just there seems to be one of these buses just coming up for England, just depositing players, young players at Kilmarnock. He's made his decision. His real decision was when he decided, I'm changing everything. That's the big decision. Now, that huge roll of the dice, will it work out for him or not? I think we'll get more indications of that tomorrow night. That's a huge game for him tomorrow. It'll be a packed stadium. It's on the television. It's a stage of the season already where he's had a good result at Hamilton, but the other results haven't gone his way. So, yeah, hugely intriguing match for Kilmarnock tomorrow.
Prediction?
I think Rangers will win. I never bought into as you know, when we're talking about it in the programme, I never bought into the great pessimism about Rangers after the Hamilton game. I just thought they were sluggish against Hamilton. They weren't up to pace, to SPFL pace. I think they're not. No matter who they sign at centre-half, they're always going to have problems in defence because of the way the team's set up. But I think they've got more than enough going forward to beat Kilmarnock.
Yeah, Ruffy?
Yeah, I don't think Kilmarnock are there yet, and I think they're going to catch Rangers at the wrong time for them. I think Rangers are on the up after that late win at the weekend there, and I think they'll be firing on all cylinders tomorrow night.
What do you make of Robbie Neilson? We're switching now to Hearts. The manager seems fairly confident that he can hold on to Callum Patterson on the basis that he's not going to give him away on the cheap, Ruffy.
Well, again, we're guessing about figures that are thrown out there. 9 times out of 10 figures are inflated. They'll exactly know what is actually on the table and what is later on. I'm sure if it was a one-off payment and it was X amount of pounds, it might be more appealing. But it looks like the add-ons, and the Hearts are saying, no, he's too good a player for us to be taking add-ons. We want the price that we want, and we want it right now.
Yeah, there are a number of players, Hugh, that I think English clubs think they can cherry pick on the cheap.
Well, they can as well, and they can cherry pick on the cheap in Scotland because, see, for example, I'm not privy to Hearts' internal discussions on this, but if Hearts, for example, if Wigan and Newcastle, who are apparently sniffing about as well, come in and said, there's £1 million for Callum Patterson, they'd be packing them up in cellophane and putting them in a box and sending them down now. And £1 million to these clubs is nothing, but they know that the market up here is they can get away with lesser prices. I still think, Robbie Neilson has to say that his player will still be there, but I don't see Callum Patterson being a Hearts player for the simple reason that it doesn't make business sense because his contract's running down and Hearts are better to take the money and let him go for nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about another player who seems to have choices up here. He's got options down south as well. Tom Haitley, Parry Thistle trying to get him. Hibs have been reported with an interest as well. And of course Dundee have made him an offer too, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's a good position for a player to be in. And good luck to the lad. I thought he was an excellent player at Motherwell, and he took the chance to go abroad. And now, good for him. He's got three clubs after him, and everything is stacked in his favour. So let's hope he picks the right one.
He's got a good thing going for him as well. It's not unknown. They know what he's got to offer. Know how he knows the league, how he performs in this league. If anybody said to me the best bet there, I think it would be Dundee, because Dundee have got that little bit of financial leeway afforded to them with Kane Hemmings and Greg Stewart going away. So but I certainly think he'll stay in Scotland.
Yeah, I'm just going to finish on one of your old teams, Ruffy. A nice gesture by Hibernian. They're going to wear black armbands to show their respects to Sam Martinez, who was one of their fans, 106 years old. But thankfully for Sam, great photograph of him, just beside the Scottish Cup as well. Nice touch by Hibs.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to meet him at one of the Hibs Player of the Year awards, and what a gentleman, and great fun to be with and around. And you're right, when I spoke to him, that's all he wished for was the cup, and he got it. So no. Terrific guy. Well done to Hibs, who are going to wear black armbands for one of their fans. Nice touch. And of course, Sam, also one of those fans who could say that he actually seen Ruffy play as well at his absolute peak. So thanks to Hugh MacDonald. Thanks to Alan Ruff for joining us here on the programme. The big news: Celtic, Barcelona, Man City and Borussia Mönchengladbach. Good night.